as we were recording the podcast. But Yoel Romero and Anderson Silva having their little plot to get an interim title.
That's
We
right.
didn't even touch it. Go on.
No, I said that's right. We didn't get to touch on this last week. Very funny.
Yeah, exactly. Anderson Silva spitting his dummy out, as we say in England. You guys call it a pacifier. I don't think spitting the pacifier out has quite the same ring to it. But if you spit your dummy out, you're sulking like kids do. So Anderson Silva spitting his dummy out. Okay, if I don't get a title shot, then I'm going to retire and this and that. And Dan is like, well, fuck you, fucking retire then. You can't do that. Listen, at the end of the day, we all know Anderson was great, but, edging by Derek Brunson doesn't get you a title shot, considering that you've been beaten in your last few. So, but that is interesting that they were trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to blackmail the UFC because Anderson's such a big star, and if you don't give me what I want, then I'm going to retire. Well, can you believe the arrogance of Anderson Silva? Because that's what it was. He thought, I'm such a big star. If they don't give me a title shot or an interim title shot, I'll retire. And they don't want that, so they'll give me what I want. And then, of course, little Mr. Poopy Pants, Yoel Romero, he jumps on board as well. He calls up Ariel Helwani's show as fast as possible and is like, yeah. So they make some little side bet in agreement that no one gives a fuck about and the UFC don't care about or endorse. So good try, close, but no cigar, boys.
Well, here's the thing, right? The UFC, they give out interims like it's nobody's business, but they have to justify it. And maybe I'm wrong, but have they ever given out an interim title when the champion was healthy, willing to fight, and has a fight coming up, just no date set? I don't think they've ever done that. It's always been if somebody's left the sport, they don't know when they're coming back, they're not trying to fight. At this point, you're just waiting for GSP to be ready, and now it looks like you guys have a date on the books. So it seems kind of like unprecedented. To even do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like I'm not willing to fight. I have a fight booked. Yes, there's been some delays, which isn't suitable for everybody involved, and it's not suitable for the division. And I do have a certain. I understand their frustrations. I do. The division has to be kept moving, but for whatever reason, GSP is stalling. And as it turns out, my knee never healed right. We just went all over that. So there's no need for an interim belt. Absolutely no need whatsoever. It's desperate. It's clutching at straws. And it's not becoming of a world-class martial artist, Lewis.
Well, here's the thing, right? These guys, they're going to have to fight. They have to. There's no way they can wait another 6 months. You can't just sit and go like, oh, I'm going to just wait for a title shot for, this entire time. It is what it is. So they have to go out there and fight. It's just a very strange thing. I almost feel like it does more for your brand. As a fan, right? The guys that I like are the guys that go, yeah, fuck it. I don't care about a title shot. I want to beat up everybody in front of me. Keep on putting these guys in front of me. I'm going to keep on knocking them down. That guy is more valuable to me than just any guy with a championship title. You know what I'm saying? The title is great, obviously. You want to get to that pinnacle of the sport. But from a fan's perspective, I want to hear Romero, I want to hear him go, I don't give a shit about the title. Bring me fucking, bring me rematches with everybody that you think beat me. I want to go beat Luke Rockhold right now. I want to kill Anderson Silva. The title means nothing to me. And if he did that, I would go, fuck, cool, awesome. I would become more of a fan of him in that case. But for some reason, everyone in the middleweight division, they're so stuck on the title, and there's literally nobody that's clamoring for a title shot that's just going, I don't give a fuck. Just put somebody in front of me and I'm going to beat him up. Everyone seems to be very tentative and seems to be focused on trying to chase you for that title.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree. The type of fighter that you discussed there, I mean, that's that's a fan favorite fighter. That's the type of fighter you want to watch. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own arse, although that's exactly what I'm about to do. That's what I did. I just got on with it. You just get on with it. You just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And eventually, I got my shot. Okay, albeit from an injury, but still, I was there. I was winning. I was in a good position. I've beaten Anderson Silva. I'd won 4 in a row. There you go, bosh. It made sense. And if they just need to just keep fighting. You know what I mean? Simple as that. I mean, who have you got? You got Anderson, you got Luke, you got Mousasi. I mean, the list goes on. They all Whittaker. They all want bloody title shots. As you say, they can't all 6 guys or whatever can't just all go, I'm waiting for a title shot. Because that stops the division moving forward.
Yeah.
So they're talking shit about me, but they're doing the same thing. I'm saying I'm fighting GSP, which, by the way, the fight is booked. The UFC offered it. The press conference has happened, and interviews have taken place. I've got a fight booked. Where's their fights? They haven't got fights booked. Where's fucking Luke Rockhold? Forrest Whitaker just knocked out Jacare. Why doesn't he fight? They offered him.
You said Forrest Whitaker,
and he was like, no, July's too soon for me. You know, so
Mike.
Yeah,
you just said
on me, but what?
You just said Forrest Whitaker, the actor, the black actor with the cross eye.
I always call him Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. Well, there's a Forrest Griffin, Robert Whitaker. It happens. Okay, so yeah, dude. Here's the thing. Like, I think there needs to be hard criteria for an interim title, and it seems like they love to throw an interim title at the top of any poster. Anytime there can't be a title fight, I know for a fact what happened is the UFC's marketing department, they look at pay-per-views that have happened that did not have titles attached to them, and they look at pay-per-views that happen that have titles attached to them, and it's just a number. And they go, okay, this sells more. We have to have a gold belt on that poster because the average fan doesn't know and truly doesn't really care. They don't know the difference between an interim title. They don't know the difference between the divisions or the champions. They're just going to watch cage fighting for the most part. And the UFC gets that, right? So they love throwing interim titles around.
Lewis, by the way, I don't think you're some kind of analytical mastermind because you figured that out. I mean, it's pretty obvious to the average fan. If there's a title fight on the pay-per-view or there isn't a title fight, it's going to do better with a title fight on. Let me just throw this out there right now. I don't give a flying fuck if they're doing interim title fight. If you want to do an interim title fight, if Yoel and Anderson want to fight for an interim title, if Whitaker and Jacare or whoever, you want to fight for an interim title, I've got no problem seeing that interim belt strapped around your waist, because you know all that means? That means you're the number one contender. That's all an interim belt means. It means you're the person that gets the next title fight, and that guarantees it. So if they want to do that in the meantime, I've got no issue with it. Is it without reason? Of course, I've got a fight booked, and I'm fighting. Have I got an injury that's going to keep me sidelined for a long, long time, like Dominic Cruz? No, I do not. But if they're getting the panties, the knickers twisted so much, if you want to do that, be my guest. I couldn't care less.
That's really interesting. That's interesting. I mean, look, me personally, I wouldn't want that interim title. You're not a pro wrestling fan, but I remember back in the day in ECW when Shane Douglas won the ECW title, or it was the NWA title. It was this historic moment in pro wrestling where he threw it down in the ring, and he was like, I don't want to be a champion of a dead organization. Now, that would be badass. Anderson Silva and Romero fight for the interim title, then whoever wins it, they just go in the middle of the ring with either of their shitty voices, because it's hilarious, but they both have hilarious voices. Anderson Silva sounds like a mouse, and Romero sounds like he's been smoking cigarettes since he was 2. And if they just gave a speech and they fucking chucked the belt down and said, this isn't a fucking real title, where you at, Michael Bisping? Where you at, brother? That would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. But they won't.
That'd be great. No, it won't happen. It's like everybody that ever wins an interim title. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody really wants to be the interim champion. You don't start a professional mixed martial arts career with the goal of being interim champion one day. You know, no one ever said that. What do you want to achieve? I want to be interim champ. That conversation has never, ever happened. But none of them say that when they win the interim belt, because they're almost champions, so they can claim to be champs. So when they get there and they get that belt put around the waist, they celebrate and this and that, and they honor that belt as if it was the actual belt. But everyone knows that it's not. So that's why I say I'd have no problem if they wanted to do that. It makes no bones to me, man. I couldn't care less, because I know the belt's in my house, and the belt effectively is around my waist, and I am, unfortunately for everyone involved, the champion right now. So kiss my ass.
Very interesting. Book it. Anderson Silva versus Yoel Romero. Interim fight.
Book it, but if you want to, I don't care. But I'm not actively encouraging it. But I'm just saying, if they want to, I don't care.
That's what it sounded like. That's great. You know what I say? Fuck it, dude. 3 interim belts in the middleweight title. Whitaker versus Mousasi.
4 interim titles, please. That's
Who gives
what we
a
need.
shit? Every fight in the UFC should be for an interim title. What if they did that?
What? Say again? Say that one more time?
Every fight in the UFC, we attach an interim title to it. The pay-per-view numbers will be through the roof.
Well, there is also the danger that they devalue the belts, Lewis.
No, they can't do that. There's no way that putting so many interim titles out there would devalue the belt at all. No way.
Smidge.